Hello everybody, this is Kaz. Today I am nitpicking Jin Akamatsu's English. というわけで、ジン赤松さんね、とても英語が上手です。
Grew up with you guys, but I only spoke Japanese ちっちゃい頃。で、別に気にならなかったんだけど、there's a moment that I felt left out. クラブシーン
俺らとハンガーしてて。
Right, right, right. We're sitting and talking, drinking, but like, I was like, 俺だけじゃない?
ニットピックをしてみたいと思います。Somebody told me that my English is monotone, so I'm going to try to sound animated a little bit more than usual. Okay, let's listen.
On a scale of 1 to 10,
It's very close to native speakers' English, but if I have to like a pinpoint on a scale of, I think a native speaker would say scale of, as opposed to scale, and the difference is the Japanese way is more like the expression scale, 100% scale. Native English, 50% kind of like noise, 50% like scale, like the noise coming out of the throat and then going through the teeth, scale. So the Japanese way is more like, because your throat is kind of tight, scale. It's very kind of, in a way, clean, scale. The native way, the throat is really loose, and a lot of noise is coming out at the same time. So even though the tongue is touching the roof of the mouth, a lot of air and noise are coming out. A lot of noise is coming out around the tongue. And this is happening not just with L, but any sounds. But in reality, this is happening with every sound. Here's the example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like this. As opposed to 1, 2, a lot of noise, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. In the book of Egonodo, we call it root sound. I can compare Japanese sound and English sound.
right.
But, right. There's a lot of noise coming out too, so that sounded pretty good to me. Right. Let me listen to that one more time, as opposed to right or something.
10は俺だとして、
Right.
ジンが
俺、控えめに言っていい?
So,
正直でいい。
like this guy is speaking Japanese with a lot of noise from the throat. Jinga.
が
Also noise. Jinga.
控えめに言っていい?
控えめに言っていい? Jin's Japanese is more tight. 控えめに言っていい? And the other guy would say, 控えめに言っていい?
正直でいいよ。
正直?
He's more like authentic Japanese way.
正直でいいよ。
正直でいいよ. Like tight. 正直でいいよ. That's more authentic, I think. Than him, he's like, 正直で、
おお、ジンにしちゃ控えめだね。控えめに。
控えめに. So he's more resonant, because a lot of air and sound are coming out from the throat at the same time as the voice itself, expression itself.
正直、ジンは
He's kind of saying things, this time tightly.
7点。
Yeah, I hear the noise too.
すげえ調子いい時は 8.4 ぐらいかな。
お、マジ?
うん、ちょっと酔っ払った時とかね。
So this guy's saying when Jing is a little tipsy, a little drunk, he sounds more native. And actually that makes sense because maybe when Jing is drunk, like it's more loose, the throat is more loose and a lot of noise is coming out together with the expression itself. But you can also replicate the same kind of feel if you speak and laugh at the same time. You don't have to get drunk to sound like a native speaker, but you can laugh and speak at the same time. Because when you laugh, this whole system relaxes and a lot of throat noise, root sound will come out together and then it blends with the expression itself.
Grew up with you guys, but...
I grew up with you guys, so his English is very native-like, but lacking a little bit of this throat noise.
Grew up with you guys.
I grew up with you guys, which is good, but add a little bit of this rambling. I grew up with you guys.
But I only spoke Japanese ちっちゃい頃。で、
I only spoke Japanese. I only spoke Japanese, which is fluent, but you can go, I only spoke Japanese. It's not just the issue of voice quality, because この喉の音で I feel like it kind of clarifies the sound if you have this noise coming out.
別に気になんなかったんだけど、There's a moment that I felt left out. クラブシーン
俺らと
か
変化してて。
Right, right, right. We're
Like,
saying,
right. So it's kind of muffled, and because you're kind of tight. But again, his English is very good.
talking,
Talking, you can hear like 10%, 20% noise coming out. So it's kind of blending nicely. Talking, which is why people think his English is good, and his English is really good because of that. So it's not like 100% tight, but sometimes loose.
drinking, but like,
Drinking. So what Jin can do is to relax completely. What I would do is to kind of relax kind of horizontally, and I kind of tilt my neck so that the neck is loose, and then pretend like your face is dead and say drinking.
I was like, 俺だけじゃない
Was like what was like. I recently started using this expression, noise comes out of your throat, which is kind of easy to explain because I used to use this expression, root sound, and I asked my Japanese students to produce this root sound. But the advantage of using this expression noise is because it has to be continuous. And noise tends to be continuous. So I feel like it's easier to communicate that concept that this sound has to be continuous. Just like AC is on right now. And in the background, AC noise is like, so it's the same idea. As you speak English, you just let this noise to come out together with real sound.
The only thing you knew how to say?
The only thing you knew how to say, that's so native because of this mixing of
people should focus on phrases instead of
phrases.
grammar.
Yeah, I remember.
Grammar. Maybe you can say grammar. But yeah, it's pretty good. But if you become more aware of this, このね、rambling sound というかね、この喉の奥のブルブルブルっとしてるのを継続的に出すという、そしてそれを出てる言葉にミックスするということですね。するとその音自体がものすごい逆説的なんですけどもクリアになる感じ、逆説なんですけどね。例えると、例えばここにペンがあって、この赤いペンの赤の色だけを見てるとそうでもないんですけども、この背後になんかこういろんなものがごちゃごちゃあったら、逆にこの赤の色が目立つ感じ、それと似ていて、例えば for example if I say I like and if I say I like the Japanese way, I would sound like I like. It's kind of clean but muffled. But if I blend some noise coming from the throat, I feel like the sound of like becomes even more distinct or contrasted against the noise. It becomes more vivid, I think.
It'll be a long run project.
But it's pretty good in places. Like half of what he said was nicely blended with this kind of rambling sound.
If we find a new way to teach,
New way to teach. Language,
then ノーベル賞とか取るかもしれない。
Anyway, that's it. So, 陣中西さんものすごい英語が上手で、です。